Good afternoon. Peel police are investigating after several tow trucks were set on fire at an auto yard in Brampton.
No injuries were reported, and now police are trying to track down the suspects behind the arson. CTV's John Musselman's been following the investigation and joins us now live with more. John.
Well, Nathan, I can tell you this is a very industrial area, and this happened behind me here across the street at this yard. Now, it's in the back area of the building, but we'll show you some video that was taken early this morning. This was quite a large fire. Broke out around 3:30 this morning. That's when fire crews were called to this scene. Peel Regional Police saying this is being investigated as an arson situation. We do know that at least several, possibly a dozen tow trucks were destroyed in this fire, so it appears to have been deliberately set. Now, Peel Police are also saying that they're looking for between 4 and 5 suspects. Something to keep in mind here, there are a lot of surveillance cameras, security cameras in this area, so Peel Police have obviously, canvassed the area here for any of that footage, hopefully to identify any potential suspects. We do know that at the time of the fire, there was a large response. It was put out and under control. There were no injuries reported. But again, this looks to be a deliberate fire. We're hoping to get an update from Peel Regional Police at the top of the hour. Reporting live in Brampton, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, John. And flames broke out at a home near here, Ontario and Davis Street in Brampton early this morning. The home was vacant and no injuries were reported. The cause of the fire is still being investigated.
Police are searching for a driver involved in a hit and run near Queen's Park. Police say a pedestrian was struck by a vehicle near St. Joseph Street and Queen's Park Crescent around 8:40 last night. The victim was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Police say the vehicle involved is described as a dark gray, newer model SUV. Officials are asking anyone who might have information to come forward.
An investigation is ongoing following a deadly shooting inside the Yorkdale GO bus terminal last night.
A man was killed and a suspect was taken into custody after shots were fired on a bus. CTV's Janice Golding has been following this investigation. She joins us live now with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, Toronto police are trying to reassure the public after a man was shot on a bus here at the Yorkdale GO bus terminal. Now, the man was shot and killed at around 7 o'clock p.m. However, police say they did manage to arrest a suspect very quickly, and they also recovered a gun. Now, investigators say they were called to the area for reports someone had been shot aboard a bus. When they arrived, they found a man with a gunshot wound. Emergency responders provided life-saving measures, but the man was later pronounced dead, and the victim was not transported to hospital. Metrolink says the remaining passengers and GO staff were safely removed from the bus. Immediately following the shooting, investigators released a possible suspect description of a male in his late 20s who was seen fleeing the area on foot towards the subway. They were able to make a quick arrest, but are still making an appeal to the public.
At this time, we are asking any people that were in the GO bus terminal at approximately 7 p.m. to either call 416-808-3200 or Crime Stoppers to provide that information. We would love to hear from you.
It's not safe here anymore.
On a bus. It's terrible. You can't go anywhere anymore.
Now, police again want to reassure the public, saying that there are no outstanding suspects at this time. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. Meanwhile, no injuries reported after shots were fired at a home in North York last night. Investigators say shots rang out at an address on Yellowstone Street near Jane and Finch. So far, there's no word on possible suspects.
And still to come, Prime Minister Mark Carney is on his way to Paris to take part in discussions around a peace deal in Ukraine. We'll have those details a little later in the newscast.
But first, Premier Doug Ford addressed the media at Queen's Park for the first time this year.
He covered a wide range of topics, including Ontario's role in the ongoing trade war with the U.S. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Sioban Morris joins us now with more details. Sioban.
Well, the Premier says he feels positive about the year ahead and Ontario's place in the world. He says, if anything, the U.S. has been successful in waking Ontario up. Well, as you mentioned, lots of topics covered in this news conference from Premier Doug Ford. He took time to weigh in on a recently launched investigation by the Integrity Commissioner looking into Labour Minister David Piccini. This is all around his involvement in distribution of the Skills Development Fund. The Premier says he continues to have confidence in his minister in that program, a program he will continue to defend, but wants to see what the Integrity Commissioner has to say. He's also making good on a promise to remove Crown Royal from the shelves of the LCBO. This is when a plant in Amherstburg, Ontario closes. That's scheduled for the end of February. The Premier, however, is not making good on a previous threat to remove all products from Diageo from the LCBO. Now, the Crown Royal will continue to be made in Canada, including in Manitoba. Here's how the Premier justifies that action.
My good friend Wab Canoe, I love the guy, by the way. You know, they're doing a little production there in Quebec too, but it's all a bunch of BS. It's all going to Alabama, mark my words. It's going to Alabama. They said they were going to invest in St. Clair, Ontario, $350 million. They pulled the carpet out from underneath us. All I'm saying is, as a business person, if you have your #1 customer spending hundreds of millions of dollars, why would you try to hurt that customer?
The Premier also made news saying he intends to appeal a recent court decision that would have compelled him to release the cell phone records for his personal cell phone. He says that those calls include personal information from constituents, and that's information that should not be made public. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Sioban Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Sioban. The city remains under a snowfall warning with up to 10 centimeters expected to fall in some areas. The OPP are urging people to make sure they're driving safely when out on the roads.
Drive with your full headlight systems on so we can see your taillights as well, and be aware of changing conditions, and we can get slowdowns anytime. And it's those ramps that really cause a lot of problems. People come around those ramps. It's still wet and sloppy and icy, and as the snow continues to fall, it is going to be slippery out there.
Meanwhile, Toronto police kicked off a parking enforcement campaign focused on school zones. The campaign runs through Friday and will focus on illegal parking near schools. Police will be closely monitoring no stopping and parking zones, as well as crosswalks and school bus loading areas. Drivers are being told to allow extra time for drop-offs and pickups and to make sure to obey all signage.
And GO train riders can expect more frequent service starting today. Weekday and weekend train trips had been reduced along the Lakeshore West, Lakeshore East and Kitchener lines last month in anticipation of lower ridership over the holiday season. And starting today, there will also be more frequent weekday service on the Milton, Richmond Hill, Barrie and Stouffville lines. Metrolinx is encouraging people to consult the schedules before traveling. And certainly a messy drive as many return to the office and school. There is a special weather statement in effect. But look, those people aren't in the office today. They're enjoying the ice, and we've certainly got a nice dose of wintry weather. Jessica Smith joins us now with all your weather details. A lot of people kind of groaning because they have to go back to work and school from the holidays. And this kind of added another layer to the mix.
It sure did, and it came just in time for the commute, as it always seems to do. But the good news is we're done with the bulk of it, at least for now. We get a bit of a break into the second half of our day. Now we're dealing with the cleanup as we head in towards our afternoon. The bulk of that system pushing its way east as we go into kind of noon and onwards, but we're still dealing with a laundry list of watches and warnings, so be careful as you make your way out and about this afternoon. I do expect for some of these statements to drop, at least for us here in the downtown core. We get a little break today, and then there's more on the way tomorrow, thanks to a Colorado low pushing in just in time for the commute to and from everyone's activities on your Tuesday. Temperature-wise, it's not too bad. We're actually going to be above seasonal for the most part across a good portion of central and southern Ontario, so it will help in the sense it won't freeze immediately as we head in towards our afternoon. Temperature-wise, through the island, through Pearson, sitting around -1. We won't see much of a difference throughout our afternoon. The wind chill still a factor, but it's not nearly as windy as it has been over the past few days. You get into the afternoon, we're sitting at about +1, so pretty comfortable. And then into the following week, we are going to see temperatures climbing well above seasonal, up to 8 degrees before this week is all said and done. But we're watching for that Colorado low tomorrow, again, coming just in time for the commute to work and to school for so many. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. We'll talk about the impacts to your drive as we head into your Tuesday. But right now, I'll send things back over to Nathan and Michelle.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Nearly 30 migrants were caught crossing illegally into Canada over the holidays, with some deported back to the U.S.
Now, one advocate says changes in American immigration policies are pushing more people north. CTV's Sweeta Rassi reports.
It was a busy holiday period at the border near Hemmingford. Officials say 8 migrants crossed illegally into Canada on Friday. An additional 19 were caught on Christmas night near Havelock. Franz André is from the Action Committee for People Without Status.
And people are going to take chances. It's not going to stop.
And André believes more migrants crossed without being caught. He points to changes in U.S. immigration policies, most notably the end of temporary protected status for Haitians on February 3rd. The decision affects more than 350,000 Haitians living in the States.
Donald Trump campaign last year, one of his promises was to deport 11 million people. And unfortunately, he is executing his promises.
Of the 19 migrants who entered Canada from the U.S. on Christmas, all were of Haitian origin, ranging in age from 1 to 60 years old. According to the Canada Border Services Agency, the migrants requested asylum, but some were sent back to the U.S. after their claims were deemed inadmissible under the Safe Third Country Agreement. The agreement allows Canada to turn away asylum seekers who arrive through official U.S. border crossings, requiring them to make their refugee claim in the first country they arrive in. André says a better system needs to be put in place.
It is very clear that the United States is no longer a safe country for hundreds of thousands of people.
Several of the migrants did suffer injuries such as frostbites, and the RCMP is warning that border crossings are particularly dangerous during the winter. But André says for migrants, turning back is not an option.
They rather die in the States or the Canada in those frigid, cold weather that we're going through than going back to the country where their life is at stake.
If nothing changes, he says crossings like these will continue. Sweet Arasi, CTV News.
A new survey suggests the federal Liberals and Conservatives are in a dead heat to start this new year. The Liaison Strategies poll shows the gap has closed between the two parties. The Liberals sitting at 38% support among decided voters, with the Conservatives just a tick behind at 37%. Meanwhile, 55% of respondents say they approve of the job Prime Minister Mark Carney is doing. The poll has a margin of error of plus or minus just over 3 percentage points, meaning the two parties with this poll are in a statistical tie.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is on his way to Paris to take part in talks around a peace deal in Ukraine. The meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, an association of countries that are aligned with Ukraine in its fight against the Russian invasion, was announced before the U.S. incursion into Venezuela. Meanwhile, in Kyiv this morning, one person was killed and 3 others were injured in a Russian strike on a medical facility in the Ukrainian capital. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia used at least 165 drones in the overnight attack.
CTV's Mike Lecouteur is traveling with the Prime Minister and has more on what could come out of today's meeting.
Well, the global geopolitical situation has changed significantly in the last 48 hours. Countries making up the Coalition of the Willing continue to be focused on the next steps towards peace in Ukraine. Now, Prime Minister Mark Carney will be joined by about 24 other world leaders at this meeting in Paris that is being chaired by French President Emmanuel Macron. Last week, Macron said this meeting is to make concrete commitments to protect Ukraine and ensure a lasting peace on the European continent. The Prime Minister's office wouldn't say what Canada is bringing to the table. However, a senior official did point to the $2.5 billion commitment made by Canada to Ukraine last week when President Zelensky did meet with Carney in Halifax last week, and also pointed to the millions of dollars in drones that Canada has announced in December. Now, since the beginning of this war, Canada has provided nearly $22 billion to Ukraine. The meeting comes about a week after Zelensky did meet with U.S. President Donald Trump in Florida. That meeting was heralded as a success. However, in address to his own country, Zelensky said that a peace deal is only 90% of the way there, saying that territorial concessions and territorial boundaries still remain one of the sticking points, as well as security guarantees. That is something that will be discussed at this meeting. Now, in the lead up to this meeting that we will be having on Tuesday, Zelensky has met with national security and defense advisors from all of the countries of the Coalition of the Willing, including from Canada. And the leaders' meeting is expected to build on that work. Earlier today, Zelensky named former Liberal cabinet minister and current Liberal MP Chrystia Freeland as an advisor on economic development. She is not expected to be on this trip to Paris. Mike Lecouture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife are making their first appearance in a New York court today. American forces snatched the couple from Venezuela on Saturday. The pair are facing several charges, including some relating to alleged narco-terrorism. And CTV's Scott Hurst has been following this story and joins us with more on this. Scott, what do you know about what was said in court today?
Nathan, good afternoon. There are a lot of developments that we're following on this case happening right now. Nicolas Maduro and his wife in a New York courtroom. This arraignment just getting underway. There are very few specifics that we can report from this hearing just yet. It is the arraignment as we are looking live outside the courthouse in New York City as Maduro is inside making his first appearance today in a U.S. courtroom as the Trump administration has justified his capture on narco-terrorism charges. From what I mentioned, this hearing is just getting underway. It is expected to be very brief. This is the arraignment process, and one thing that will come out of this likely is setting a date for the next hearing. Of course, there are many questions now going forward about the legality of the U.S. operation, and then there's also the question about the geopolitical ramifications of the U.S. operation in Venezuela. And so this is what is happening today, Nathan, inside this courtroom in New York City, as the deposed Venezuelan leader is in New York City in that courtroom right now, facing the first of what is likely to be many courtroom appearances. This, as I mentioned, is the arraignment, so very early in the process. This is the first court appearance, likely to be a very brief appearance for Nicolas Maduro, and likely one of the things that will come from this, as we're looking at video from earlier today of him being transferred to the courthouse in New York City, and what is likely to come from this. One of the things, Nathan, likely to come from this is, at the very least, setting a date for the next hearing.
And of course, the Prime Minister is in a situation where he has to be measured with his response. He released a statement. What did he have to say?
Yeah, this measured response that we got from the Prime Minister is also facing some criticism, really, for being measured down the middle. And so this is what we can tell you in terms of criticism that the Prime Minister is facing. He is facing this criticism from many people, including, speaking to CTV News, former Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay, really calling this response slow and lethargic, and other political commentators suggesting to CTV News Carney's response was really more about damage control against jeopardizing any ongoing trade talks with the Trump administration, as Mark Carney, in his statement on social media on the weekend, is calling for a Venezuelan-led transition process and labeling Maduro's reign as brutally oppressive and a criminal regime, going on to say Canada has not recognized the illegitimate regime of Maduro since it stole the 2018 election. However, he is facing backlash for his response, as the statement from the Prime Minister went on to say, calling on all parties to respect international law, Nathan, however, yet not specifically mentioning the United States directly. Here's more on the criticism the Prime Minister is facing from Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay.
The statement, I think, has been interpreted in many quarters as being quite weak. While it does reiterate statements that have been made in the past about respecting the rule of law and looking forward to seeing a transition in Venezuela and the people of Venezuela being supported, it glosses over entirely the fact that it was the United States that brought this about.
And Nathan, another development we're potentially tracking for today is any more of a response from Prime Minister Mark Carney. He is traveling to Paris to meet with the so-called Coalition of the Willing. These are allies of Ukraine looking to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. So that, of course, will be top of the agenda. That is the reason for that meeting. But you can expect the situation in Venezuela will likely dominate the discussion as well in Paris.
All right, CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
The U.S. military raid on Venezuela has prompted a meeting of the United Nations Security Council. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the attack on Saturday sets a dangerous precedent. Colombia, backed by both Russia and China, requested the meeting of the 15-member council. The council has met twice in the past few months as a result of escalating tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela.
U.S. President Donald Trump reiterated his desire for America to annex Greenland. Speaking aboard Air Force One last night, he stated the U.S. needs the Danish territory for security purposes.
We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
I think it's a good communication.
You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled.
Meanwhile, Denmark's prime minister reacted to a post by Katie Miller, the wife of Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller. It shows Greenland covered with an American flag and the word soon. Denmark's prime minister responded on social media, writing, "When the president of the United States talks about needing Greenland and connects us with Venezuela and military intervention, it's not just wrong, it is disrespectful." Meanwhile, the Cincinnati home of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has been vandalized. The U.S. Secret Service has taken a man into custody after windows were broken with a hammer and other property was damaged. Authorities are investigating whether the suspect was specifically targeting Vance and his family. The U.S. Vice President says they were already back in Washington when the incident happened around midnight.
A Paris court has found 10 people guilty of cyberbullying France's First Lady after spreading false claims online.
Qui déclare qui il est ou qui elle est. On ne joue pas avec ça. C'est quelque chose d'impossible.
Brigitte Macron says she launched the legal battle to set an example in the fight against harassment. The 10 defendants received a range of sentences from cyberbullying awareness training to 8-month suspended prison sentences. The cyberbullying focused on conspiracy theories around Macron's gender and sexuality. She and her husband, French President Emmanuel Macron, have also filed a defamation suit in the U.S. against conservative influencer Candace Owens.
The Catholic Holy Year ends tomorrow, and the Vatican is calling it a success. About 33.5 million pilgrims came to Rome in 2025, a record number of yearly visitors. Holy Years or Jubilees typically occur every quarter century and are considered a time of peace, forgiveness, and pardon. Catholics can earn a remission of sins and see the Pope at special audiences throughout the year.
In a world where it's harder to tell when information is accurate and real, Finland is taking the fight against fake news into the preschool classroom. Students are learning about disinformation in some cases since the first grade, beginning with reading news headlines and short text. In a recent class, they were tasked with coming up with 5 main things to look for when consuming online news to ensure it is trustworthy. One of the latest areas of interest is the rapid development of artificial intelligence, with AI literacy quickly becoming a more vital skill. Jess.
Well, after a messy start to the day and a rough commute for many, we get a little bit of a break as we head into the afternoon as temperatures continue to climb above the seasonal mark. We're still watching for the chance of maybe a light flurry, but the bulk of that heavier system is gone for now and has pushed its way east. As you make your way home this afternoon and into the evening for that commute, significantly easier when it comes to the active weather, but busy, no doubt, as everybody gets back into the swing of things. Looking ahead to tomorrow, another round of active weather on the way, this time in the way of rain, freezing rain, and snow. It is going to be a challenge. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. We'll break it all down to help you get to and from your destination safely.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
All right, the kids are back in school. Many people are back at work, and it just seems like Mother Nature knew this.
I know. I actually used Mother Nature and all the snow as sort of a way to get the kids out the door. I'm like, I know you don't feel like going to school, but we're getting a lot of snow. Recess is going to be a blast.
Yeah.
For, you know, the adults, not so much fun, and it definitely slowed things down. You need to add a little extra time, which is frustrating when, you know, a lot of people have been off.
Yeah, and we're getting back into routines, right? But for the kiddos, for recess, I mean, it's not terribly cold outside, so it's that kind of fun snow. I mean, different for them as opposed to being inside at work, maybe, but it is going to stay relatively mild throughout the day today, so that's some good news when it comes to all of this mess. We're done with the bulk of it for now. There's a break into the afternoon, but things change as we head into the day tomorrow. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, a bit clearer out there, easier as we get through this kind of midpoint of our day. And temperature-wise, you feel the bit of warmth out there. It's more of a slushy mess out on the roads as opposed to a big kind of snowstorm. But still take care. A lot of those side streets still quite slick as you make your way out and about. The good news is we saw all those plows out there working hard early on this morning. So the drive home, we're not dealing with nearly as much because the bulk of the system is going to be past us. We're looking at -1 right now, feeling like -5. We're relatively mild here in the GTA and the same through southwestern Ontario. The further east, the further north you go, it is still very, very cold. And we're holding on to that for at least the bulk of the afternoon before we all see a warm up into the day tomorrow and for the week ahead. We'll see a daytime high of +1, climbing above seasonal. Still a hint of a wind chill, but overall still quite comfortable to spend some time outside. But we're going to see a lot of melting out there, so keep that in mind. It's going to be a slushy mess. This is your gentle reminder to re-up on your windshield wiper fluid. Into this evening, still holding on above seasonal. We're at -5, feeling like -7. Still a little cooler up towards Bancroft for our friends out through Kingston, but overall we're beginning a warming trend. We're still looking at a number of snowfall watches and warnings for areas east of the city and for our friends over towards Barrie. And into that southwestern corner, they're dealing with more in the way of freezing rain. This will kind of become an all-over story as we head into the day tomorrow, as a Colorado low pushes in, bringing a messy mix for almost everybody across central and southern Ontario. That first system, though, it is pushing out as we head throughout our day today. It becomes an eastern Ontario problem and then moving out towards Quebec and Atlantic Canada. And then there is that Colorado low bringing a messy mix. And again, because it is going to be warm, it is rain for some and more in the way of freezing rain for others if they're still holding on to those pockets of colder air. Throughout the rest of our afternoon, though, it's just a really cloudy day, making it a little easier for that commute home for hopefully a number of folks as we get back into routine. We get in towards the start of the day tomorrow, so clear for at least the commute to work and the commute to school. But as we head in towards the late morning, early afternoon, we see freezing rain pushing in areas a little bit further east of the city and more in the way of rain further south. We get into the afternoon, the bulk of the freezing rain is going to be north of the downtown core, so think 401 and east as you kind of head your way past areas, say, through Scarborough. And then as you head in towards the afternoon and evening, it becomes more of a rain event for us. If you are at Peterborough, if you're anywhere towards Ottawa, you're holding in that kind of colder temperature range, so you're looking at more in the way of a mix or freezing rain. As we head in towards the overnight, though, and we step in towards our Wednesday, a break. We all get a bit of a break from the messy weather that begins this work and school week for so many. Temperature-wise, we are above seasonal. This trend not going anywhere throughout the week. We're up to 3 degrees by Wednesday. Finally, the sunshine sort of returns as we head in towards kind of the middle and end of next week. But by Friday, we could be up to 8 degrees. So it is going to be overcast, but at least it is mild. So depending on how you like your winter, you get a little bit of everything. Hopefully this helps you plan. Michelle, I'll send things back to you.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate it. We have some breaking news this hour. Deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has pleaded not guilty in a New York court. This is a live shot outside at this hour. Maduro and his wife are making their first appearance today. American forces snatched the couple from Venezuela in a surprise attack Sunday. The pair are facing several charges, including some related to alleged narco-terrorism. This is a developing story, and we will continue to follow it.
All right, to sports, the Raptors will be looking for a second straight win when they take on the Atlanta Hawks tonight.
Play matters. Quick, thought about it. RJ will and connects.
The Raptors are coming off a 134-117 win over the Hawks on Saturday. Tip-off for tonight's game is set for just after 7:30 at Scotiabank Arena.
There will be no gold medal for Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championship. The team will now play for bronze following a loss to Czechia in the semifinals last night.
Looks ahead, and a driving kick. In comes Gio, scores!
The game went back and forth until Czechia took the lead midway through the third period. They wouldn't let it go, going on to win the game 6-4. They will play Sweden in the gold medal game. Canada will play Finland for bronze this afternoon. This marks the third straight year Czechia has prevented Canada from a shot at securing the coveted gold medal. Well, girls from across Ottawa and the surrounding area hit the ice alongside members of the Ottawa Charge this past weekend.
The PWHL team hosted a skills clinic aimed at growing the game and inspiring a new generation of hockey stars. CTV's Kimberly Johnson has the details.
Moving fast and skating hard. Dozens of girls taking to the ice at the Ottawa Charge Youth Skills Clinic. being on the ice with her hockey heroes and putting on her new Ottawa Charge jersey. 11-year-old Emma Buck says this is a dream come true.
It meant so much. Like, my mom told me about this, and I was like counting down the day just waiting for it to come. It was so much fun.
Buck says she started playing hockey 4 years ago, and when she's playing, she feels free. So the chance to perform drills and learn new skills in the home of the Ottawa Charge.
It didn't really feel real, honestly, because, like, you know, that there's such a big deal. Like, I was just so happy that, you know, I got to be part of this.
She's among the 100 female players signed up for the 3 clinics on Sunday at TD Place. Players ranging 8 to 14 years old.
There was never many girl hockey players for us growing up, so to be on the ice with female coaches and other female players is so important and so inspiring.
Ottawa Charge forward Manon McMahon says around the age of 8, she realized her love of hockey, and it sparked something inside of her. She says she hopes young girls know that they can make it too.
Being in a room with us is so important for these girls to see that it's so achievable for them.
Women's hockey has been exploding in popularity. The Charge hope to help the players hone their skills and have fun in the process.
Take away one little thing, that's all. You know, 1% better every single day. If they can get exposed to something new that they haven't seen or heard before, then that's a win.
The girls taking in every chance to do just that.
I'm so happy I got to meet the Charge players, super exciting. And the drills we did were so much fun and like fast-paced. I'm starting to feel like that maybe one day I'll be there.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
To baseball, former Toronto Blue Jays bench coach Don Mattingly has been hired by the Phillies. Mattingly joined the Jays in November of 2022, but his contract expired at the end of last year, and he chose to seek a new opportunity. He will serve as bench coach in Philadelphia, working alongside Sarnia-born manager Rob Thompson. Mattingly will also be uniting with his son, Phillies general manager Preston Mattingly.
Still to come, a new app is helping people identify whether they're at a higher risk of a torn ACL. We'll have more on the preventative measure when we come back. A torn ACL is one of the most common injuries in sports and comes with a recovery that's roughly a year long.
Now, an orthopedic surgeon in Quebec has developed an app that predicts whether people are at risk for the injury. CTV's Anastasia Dextrin reports.
The ACL is a ligament in the knee, and when torn or sprained, there can be long-term effects.
If you have that injury, you're out of your sports for a rehab that's a year long.
Dr. Paul Martineau is an orthopedic surgeon and director of sports medicine research. In his 18 years at the McGill University Health Center, he's done more than 2,000 ACL surgeries, and he says injuries often appear starting around age 12.
It's become an epidemic where women are injuring themselves 7 times more than men. And the age of the athletes is getting younger and younger. You can see that at all levels of play.
From school sports to the elite professional level, Martineau says prevention is better than cure. Enter Hurt Blocker. The free app aims to flag the risk of ACL injury early and avoid related setbacks. The app is user-friendly. You start by taking a video of yourself doing this, jumping on each leg. The app uses artificial intelligence to analyze knee movement and stability as you land. It then determines if you might be predisposed to ACL injury.
It will process that data and come out with you jump in a way that's risky for your ACL. And if you need help, or if you're a red light, like we call them in the app, there are exercises you can do that decrease your risk of injury by 50%. It's huge.
The recommended exercises are known as neuromuscular training programs. The combination of moves like jogging and jumps helps to improve agility, strength, and balance. And already, Martineau says the app has reached 4,000 downloads in 2 months.
Well, essentially what we were trying to do is put physiotherapists, a doctor in your pocket so that parents, coaches, athletes could just test themselves at home.
Martineau says 12 universities and several professional teams will soon be using the app, and he hopes to see even more jump on board. Anastasia Dextrin, CTV News.
Timothée Chalamet's campaign for an Oscar got a major boost this weekend after he won Best Actor at the 31st Critics' Choice Awards for his performance in Marty Supreme.
And lastly, I'll just say thank you to my partner of 3 years. Thank you for our foundation. I love you. I couldn't do this without you. thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Chalamet thanking his partner there, Kylie Jenner, as he accepted the award. In Marty Supreme, he plays a 1950s table tennis champ who was consumed by his ambition. He beat out Leonardo DiCaprio for his performance in One Battle After Another. However, that film ended up winning Best Picture, as well as picking up awards for Best Director and Best Adapted Screenplay.
James Cameron's latest Avatar film crossed a major milestone at the box office. Avatar, Fire and Ash joined the first two films in the sci-fi franchise to earn more than $1 billion US. The film reached the milestone after 18 days in theaters as it dominated the box office through the holiday season.
The annual Consumer Electronics Show begins in Las Vegas tomorrow, but Samsung is among those offering a preview with a major reveal for TV lovers. The tech giant is showcasing its 130-inch micro RGB television. The South Korean company says it uses tiny LEDs in red, green, and blue to create extremely high-quality color pictures. But it's not just about the images. Samsung is also touting the TV's artificial intelligence features. It can make suggestions based on what it already knows about you. Still to come on CTV News at noon, reservation no-shows are causing major headaches for restaurants. We'll have more on the changes some establishments are pushing to implement when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Canada's economy has suffered over the last few months due to the ongoing trade war with the U.S.
Most provinces are projecting a deficit this year, and now some analysts say there are more problems lurking around the corner. CTV's Garrett Berry has the story.
Newfoundland and Labrador is set to run a deficit of nearly $1 billion this year. Numbers released in this week's budget update paint a picture the finance minister admits is deeply troubling. But the recently elected government says it is still committed to some election promises, like a big tax cut.
We are only beginning now our long-term planning for our first budget in 2026. Everything else will be looked at, but we are focused on our three priorities.
And while the province's deficit has become one of the biggest in the country per person, there's plenty of company in the red. Every province is expecting to run a deficit for the first time since 2010. Analysts say the trade war with the United States has only hurt.
Very severe tariffs on that if we have to.
But other long-term pressures lurk just around the corner, like a rapidly aging population, which needs more healthcare and social services. That was a factor in Newfoundland and Labrador, where healthcare spending unexpectedly jumped an extra $430 million this year. Alex Lauren of the CD Howe think tank says don't expect Ottawa to come into the rescue, not when Prime Minister Mark Carney has his own deficit concerns and has committed billions more to defense spending.
Maybe the opposite will happen. The pressure will likely be federal government will need to find solution to, limit its exposure to the provincial problems.
He doesn't believe the balanced budget is gone forever, but it will take a renewed focus on growing the economy and long-term problem solving before they come back in style across the country. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
CUPE members with Ontario Health at Home will rally against the province's back-to-office mandate today. The union says available office space has shrunk since 2019, which has led to an uneven application of the return-to-office policy across the province. CUPE says the change impacts staff providing essential health care, as well as sick and injured patients who rely on their services. Members will protest across the province during their lunch breaks. Premier Doug Ford was asked about the concerns about a lack of office space during a news conference earlier today.
It's great to get everyone back to work like every other normal citizen. You go out there and you show up 5 days a week. And there's arrangements. If they can't make it in, they're going to have to work within the bureaucracy, the OPS. They all have their managers. And we just look forward to getting everyone back. And by the way, it's not even back to work because they always work. They're good people, the OPS. They're just going to work within office and within the office.
Now, CUPE wants its members at Ontario Health at Home to be allowed to return to a hybrid work model.
Reservation no-shows can throw off a day of preparation and planning for restaurants, and some businesses say the issue's getting worse.
In Quebec, businesses can charge a fee for those who don't show up, but no such law exists in Ontario. CTV Spencer's Turcotte has more on the impact.
I'm working on beef stock.
Whether it's filling customers' bellies with classic French cuisine,
This is my wine cellar.
or quenching their thirst with the top European wines, Chez Elixir in Kitchener's Belmont Village offers a fine dining experience. But its owner and head chef, Farouz Jafari, is experiencing something he's not so fine with.
I believe people reserve in 2-3 different places, and then at the end they choose to go to one of them.
Reservation no-shows are nothing new for the restaurant biz, but the holidays tend to reignite those frustrations.
Those two, they didn't show, we just put cancel, and this 9 cancel. This 12, he said, oh, my girlfriend has reserved elsewhere.
In 2023, Jafari began asking customers for deposits to reserve a table. Then he ran into a new problem. People stopped booking altogether.
I removed that from our website. We don't want deposit because some people didn't like it. And some people said, oh, I'm not going to give you my credit card number.
So he removed that feature and went back to the old ways. But so did restaurant guests. Leading up to Christmas, Jafari says out of 49 reservations, he had 25 cancellations.
It didn't give me a chance to prepare properly. Yes, it affected my service. I couldn't say anything. Customer is always right.
It's a problem that has plagued the restaurant industry across the country. Earlier this year, Quebec allowed restaurants to start charging $10 per person in an attempt to help with no-shows. Ahead of the holidays, CTV News checked in to see whether it has helped.
What we have seen an increase in is people calling to cancel the reservation, which is really what restaurants want.
Although reviews are mixed.
If someone reserves for 30 people, but only 3 people show up, well, you can't apply it. You can't charge them the 27 people that didn't show up, because that's the way that the law is written.
Back at Chez Elixir in Kitchener, the message from Chef Jafari to his customers is clear.
I love all of them, and even if they don't show, but, please let me know that you are not showing up.
So he can ensure his seats are just as full as his customers' bellies. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
Coming up on CTV News at noon, a Canadian bartender has been named the ultimate bartender champion. We'll have more on how she secured that title when we return.
Patrons are raising a toast to a Montreal bartender who's been named the ultimate bartender champion.
She beat out competition from North, South, and Central America to secure the title. CTV's Christine Long has her story.
So it's like a nice little boozy wake-up.
Bartender Marie-Louise Roy-Bilodeau likes making custom cocktails, like this riff on a Negroni she nicknames a Monday morning.
I just like making something that my guests will enjoy.
She's been bartending 4 years and was encouraged by a boss to compete professionally, so she gave it a shot.
This year, I applied to do the Ultimate Bartender Championship. I won the Canadian leg, and that brought me all the way to Colombia for the final for North, South, and Central America, and I won that one.
The only woman in the finals, Roy-Bilodeau, who is 27, says that the all-day competition included mixology, serving, and speed.
Their premise was skills pay the bills. So they created a bunch of challenges to test your day-to-day skills.
Day-to-day skills she's been perfecting at La Cantina Concha.
You had 5 drinks to make and a shot to pour as fast as you could.
Now named the ultimate bartender champion, Roy-Bilodeau earned a retro varsity jacket, a big ring, and bragging rights that her boss is enjoying.
My boss has been like telling people sometimes, like we'll get customers and she'll be like, do you know that she's the best in the world? I'm like, whoa, let's chill.
She jokes her ultimate bartender champion title only includes North, South, and Central America. A real world championship just might be in her mix for 2026. Christine Long, CTV News.
I'm just having flashbacks to the holiday season.
That looks really good. Is it
all the
too
fun.
early to have one of those?
Is it 5 o'clock somewhere? It's noon already. We're already almost at 1 o'clock, so maybe. And it'll perhaps help kind of warm you up. Although temperature-wise, it's not the worst, but that commute this morning was rough for a lot of people. But the good news is, into the second half of your day, the weather a lot lighter, making for the commute home for so many a little easier to bear. But it was tough out there this morning, but we're holding on to, again, temperatures above seasonal, making for it more of a slushy drive home. So re-up that windshield wiper fluid. Still seeing some alerts in place, but some of those will drop as the system fully pushes out. But we have some in place for the weather on the way tomorrow, thanks to that Colorado low making its way in. But -1 right now here in the city. +2 in Windsor. We're at 0 through Hamilton, -13 for our friends out in Ottawa. Now we are above seasonal start to finish throughout this week. We get up to 8 degrees by Friday, but this is your heads up for tomorrow. We are looking at a messy midday and commute home for the evening, so just give yourself extra time and take it easy.
All right, good advice. Thank you, Jess. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.